org, and we are only one day from the opening ceremonies of the Tokyo Olympic Games. Fingers crossed that all still goes to plan. But today here on Good Things, we get to celebrate a Mississippi athlete who has already conquered the world stage, and she is a world champion in karate. So joining us is Miss Annabeth Hedgepeth. I think I said that correctly.
Yes, ma'am.
Who has kicked the world's tail, I think is a fair way of saying it. So welcome.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking your time out of your world win. I think everyone is saying your name now when you came home with the world title, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's talk about this title because I know there's a lot of different, parts of karate or types of karate. So what is your exact world title?
Yes, ma'am. So there's creative, musical, and extreme divisions in karate. It's like a sport karate thing. And it's more like a gymnastics side. You do karate mixed with gymnastics. So I won the 14 to 17 CMX girls forms and weapons titles.
So do you still have to move up like in belts? Is it sort of the same? Because I feel like we all know karate and you get to earn the different colored belts. Is that still the same?
You can almost like move up in rank if you're still going to like a karate school, like a dojo and training. But I'm a second degree black belt and I'm just kind of staying where I'm at for right now.
And then just sort of adding to your other elements of that particular sport. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Pretty cool. All right, then let's go back to the first time you took a karate class. How old were you?
I was 6 when I started.
So what drew you to karate at 6 and not maybe gymnastics or dance, or maybe you did all the things?
It was just really something different, and I wanted to give it a try, and I went, and I really liked it, so I just kind of kept that up.
So at what point did you realize, okay, maybe I'm good at this? It's not just fun when, moving up the ranks or with all your little friends there, but you started to say, hey, maybe I could compete in this.
So I tried out my first tournament. It was like a local tournament here in Madison, I believe, and I won. And I, just continued to do local tournaments. And then when I went to my first more regional tournament and I started winning, that's when I really decided to get serious about it.
And there's several videos of what the style that you do that's either on your mom's Facebook page or also I think I found one from 2018 that I shared from YouTube. So it's different than just like breaking blocks or doing sort of the movements. I mean, yours really is more entertaining.
Yes.
So at 6, did you start out in the one that you're doing now, or did you sort of morph into that as you grew in the sport of karate?
So when I was 6, I started doing more traditional karate. I did Taekwondo, which is like a more Korean style. And so you really just have to start there and you build up from there. That's like the basics, and then you have to really build up to that. So in 2019 is when I really started doing like the more performance style of martial arts.
Because there is this element of entertainment to it. I mean, you've got the dance, kinda. I mean, I don't know if you call it dance and what we would see, but then the music aspect to it. So there's this whole other level of art form, creativity. Does that tap into some of your other personalities that just, and I keep going back to the word traditional karate, and I'm sure that's probably not appropriate. But when I think of karate, not so much like Karate Kid, you just think of the white suit with the belt, and then you're going through the really difficult movements, and you sometimes grunt out loud, and then occasionally you break things.
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what traditional karate is, really.
Okay, so I got the word
Yes, ma'am.
sort of right. So do you still get to break things?
I used to compete in breaking things also, but, that's just really, when you get to this level, you don't want to risk injuries as much, so.
What did you break?
I've broken boards, bricks, Louisville Slugger baseball bats, everything.
With like your hands or fist or your forehead? Well, I guess your hands or feet or your forehead was what I was going with.
I used to do a lot of breaking with my elbow, but I broke like the baseball bat with my shin. I kicked it.
I got locked out of my office earlier today, and I thought, if Annabeth was here, I bet she could have just, barricaded right through it without needing a key. So that had to be exhilarating, but I'm sure your parents are very grateful that you stopped seeing how many things you could break with your elbow.
Yes, ma'am.
And sort of all of that. Let's talk about the family piece of it, because for you to get to this level of being world champion, that means there's a big commitment in terms of traveling outside of the state. There's just,
Absolutely.
Karate is one of those underlying sports. I think it's gaining popularity, but it's not where, it's not where there's the softball and the baseball tournaments that are in every community just yet. So
Yes, ma'am.
how often do you have to travel for your tournaments, and where all do you have to travel?
We really go all over the United States, and now with the NASCA circuit, which is like the biggest circuit in the world, We'll be going to Canada as well. So we really travel all over. Some of the regional tournaments are just in the South, like Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, and places like that. But then, like, more national and world level tournaments, we have to go to, like, California, Chicago. Next month, I'm going to New Jersey. So just kind of all over.
So you started there in Kosciusko at the age of 6, Annabeth. I
Yes,
bet
ma'am.
quickly, though, and rightfully so, you probably outgrew maybe what was offered there in your community, although it's so cool that we have these breeding grounds for our kids to get taste of sports. But then sometimes when you start to age out or to level out, you got to find other coaching. So you do not have a coach here in Mississippi. Where is your coach currently?
My coach is currently living in LA. She is on a set for, I think, the new Star Wars show. So she's like a stunt double. She's really, really good.
She's really okay. So how did you connect with her?
She used to compete on the NASCAR circuit that I was telling you about. She was absolutely the best in the world. And so from there, she just kind of went into stunts and things. But we met through mutual friends, and she's been a great coach.
So how do you coach virtually like that? I mean, I know a lot of sports, Olympic lifting, and there's some others who actually do well with virtual coaching because it doesn't require that, in-person kind of training. So how do y'all keep that coach-athlete relationship that many states away?
We Skype train together. So, we just Skype and we teach through that.
So coaching in karate, how is that? Like, does she create workouts for you? Are you perfecting new skills? Is it just getting I know it's probably all of the above, but for those of us who our mind ends at just the different movements with karate, what is she coaching you on? Are you leveling up in your movements? Are you adding to like jumps and more difficult things? Where are we going with that?
Yes, ma'am. She creates like my performance routines, and she teaches me, new tricks and flips to add into mine. And we'll just, like every year we start fresh over and make a whole new routine. And so she helps me create those.
Do you get say in like your music and some of that?
It's really cool actually how that works. So you really pick your own song, and there's like sport karate DJs, I guess you could call it, that mix them up for you, and then you time your form to the beats and the music.
Rhino, I've got you a side gig you could probably pick up, a sports karate DJ, if this ever gets boring for you.
It would definitely look good on a business card.
It would definitely look good. Well, I guess with that would be similar to maybe some of the dance or cheer kind of routines that have specific movements, or even gymnasts who their music has to match their movements, or their movements have to match their music. So when you're thinking of music, are you thinking of movements, or do you think of your movements and then try to find music?
So you get the song, you order it, and you already have your form. The whole routine isn't choreographed to the music, just like the beginning and how you walk in. It's like a walkout song for baseball. It's the same thing except for karate.
So how long are y'all's, I guess, your events or whatever? How long is your performance?
And what I do, the performance style, it's like at most usually a minute and a half, because you're going so fast, and it's like running like a sprint and track. So it's like a marathon.
I encourage folks, if you haven't seen Annabeth perform, I did, and it is a little bit older one, but it's the only one I could find on YouTube to be able to share, to go and sort of see it. And we'll make sure that we maybe share the one from her mom's page, if it's okay, into the Good Things Facebook group, because I have this feeling that you all think, oh, this is great. She is, the Kosciusko Karate Kid, which you've been dubbed, and that is definitely a piece to it. But there's this whole other athletic component to it that you get tired just watching it. You are literally like sprinting. I mean, it is a full body aerobic, anaerobic, all the things thing. When you get done, are you just like...
Yes, ma'am. It's like really hard to catch your breath afterwards, and then it's time to go again.
Well, it's kind of like, again, going back to watching like a gymnast routine. You think, oh, their routines are so short, and then they walk away and they're dripping in sweat and they're huffing and puffing, and you don't realize the power that has to be put out for the different things. So what's your favorite part, though, of all of your routines? Is it the flipping? Is it the actual karate movements? Is it the fast pace? Like, if you had to pick one favorite part.
It's probably, like, honestly, just the way you perform it. Like, it's just, like, getting to go out there in front of everyone and show off and do what you love to do, and you get to show your own style through what you do. So you get to show, like, a piece of your personality in your performance.
Well, we're learning a little bit more about your personality here on Good Things, so stick with us. We've got more with Annabeth, Smart Park. But today here on Good Things, we're getting to know Annabeth Hedgepeth. She is from Kosciusko, Mississippi. She is a world champion in karate. And what's the style of karate that you do, Annabeth?
I do taekwondo.
You do taekwondo, and then it has that level of music and skill. Now, I did get to post your recent wins performance in the Good Things Facebook group. So if you would like to go see Annabeth in action to actually better understand how much athleticism is in what she does, then go watch it real quick because you'll be tired after that 90 seconds. But I want to get to the story, though, the backstory of how you actually got into karate, because I think it's just, one, it's real inspiring, and then two, it sounds just like something that I would do. But I think it brings up this important piece about empowering our girls to be, strong and confident. So what was going on that got you actually into karate back at 6 years old?
So in kindergarten, I was one of the smaller kids, and I kind of got bullied a little bit. And my dad was like, do you want to learn how to defend yourself? And I was like, yes, sir. And we went to karate and tried that out.
And how did that connect with you? The fact that just being taught how to utilize your own force or stand firm in your body really breed some confidence in you?
Yes, ma'am. Karate helped a lot with confidence. I used to be like a shyer kid, and obviously, now it's just
nobody messes with you at school anymore.
No, ma'am.
Do they? So speaking of the movie Karate Kid, have you ever seen it?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a little before your time, just a little bit. But there's this whole, I guess, custom with this karate is this, it's slow, not that the sport is slow, but that the mental toughness comes first, the wax 'em on, the wax 'em off sort of scene, building some of those internal skills before you can really unleash the beast within you. Did you get that kind of foundation prior to where you're at today? Is it kind of this, and I guess the wisdom part of it would be the part I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am. Karate, it's all about character, and they teach you, a lot about respect and everything like that. So you have to learn that before they even really get to teaching you anything else.
But were you just ready to get to some of those harder skills?
Yes, ma'am.
So how many belts? You're a black belt now, Annabeth, or or how do you say it?
A second-degree black belt.
Second-degree black belt. What's the progression there?
In Taekwondo, it goes white, yellow, orange, green, blue, purple, brown, red, and then black.
Oh, so yes, my meager little yellow that I got when I was a little kid. For my after school, I see now that I had a long way to go.
Yes,
but I was so proud of that little yellow, which is funny though. I still remember even 30 something years later some of the breath and the technique sort of to it. When people look at karate and they think, oh, that's just movement, that's not necessarily hard, minus your entertainment value that you add with your routine, what do you say to that?
It's a lot harder than it looks. There's a certain art to it, and I would say like traditional karate, it does start slower, but as you rank up and you get into the harder things, you really start to understand more. Speaking
of Karate Kid, they competed against each other. I mean, it was kind of more of like a violent way of it. And it was also like a movie. I get that. Did you ever compete where it was like against other people in that kind of sort of setting? I'm sure you never hit anybody or knocked any, or did you?
Yes, ma'am. I actually did. I used to be a point fighter. And I don't fight as much now. I have had 2 concussions on top of each other before, and that put me out for a while. But I did used to fight quite often.
Did y'all have to wear safety gear or anything?
It's kind of like a UFC, but plus a helmet. So you got hand pads, gloves, and a helmet.
No wonder nobody messes with Annabeth. Like, okay. And so but to see you and then it's like you transform when you watch your video, which again, those who are just tuning in can on the Good Things Facebook group. It's like this light switches in you, and it's like it's your, you have this spirit animal that comes out. Is that a way of expressing maybe another side of your personality, or do you look at it as Annabeth on the mat versus Annabeth every day?
Yes, man. There's definitely a different me on the mat. You really have to get serious and pull it together if you want to win, and that's what it takes to compete at that level.
When you talk about winning, I'm sure there's points involved and there's probably judges. So what are you being judged on?
Okay, so the performance routines like I do with forms, which is like the performance with nothing in my hand, like is in the Facebook group. It's based off of speed, balance, power, performance, and the level of difficulty. How hard are your flips? How hard is everything in your form you do? Is it creative? Everything like that. And then you have weapons. I do the nunchucks, so it's based off of like how fast you are, how good you are with the weapon, how like we do tosses, how many times can you throw it and spin, things like that.
Wow. Okay, so the weapons part. What all weapons do you get to play with?
My primary weapon is the nunchucks. That's what I won my world title with. And then there's like traditional weapons.
Okay, explain the nunchucks to us. We think we know, but you know what? I've decided I don't know anything. So what are those? Well, how would you describe them?
It's like two sticks connected by a chain, like what the Ninja Turtles use, Michelangelo.
That's what I would have said.
Yes, ma'am. That's
where my
exactly
mind
what it
went. Okay, do you have two of them or just one of them?
is. Two of them.
Two of them. And so you have to be coordinated now.
Very, very.
And fast and powerful. I've hit myself with a jump rope before trying to learn these dumb things called double unders, and I have tore myself up with them. So I can't imagine the pain of missing with a nunchuck in the learning process. Were there a lot of oh shoot moments at home or in the gym?
Oh yeah, still are all the time. Trying new tricks and things. I come home with black eyes, bumps and bruises all the time.
And it's not even by your opponent. It's by you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I also see on your mat, I mean, you do some pretty good kicks where they get pretty high up there. Is that part of maybe like the scoring process? How like you almost look like you're levitating, how high some of those things go?
Yes, ma'am. And some people will do like these crazy backflips and things and get like so far off the ground and things, and it just adds more and more points to how you get scored.
So you mentioned age range. You won the 14 to 17. So you're not quite aged out of that yet. Is it girls against girls, or is there boys and girls together? Or is it co-ed? How does that work?
In the world circuit, it is just girls against each other, but you go to regional tournaments and they have to combine boys and girls because it's smaller. But yes, ma'am, I won the 14-17 girls.
Are you kicking boys' butts in the regional?
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
regional?
Yes, ma'am.
Nunchucks and all. Okay, so those are your preferred. What are other weapons that you get to play with?
I also do like in traditional weapons, which is the same thing, but there's no flips or anything. It's more like showing more the true karate. I use a bow staff, which is pretty much just like a big long stick. So.
And then I think I heard, did you win a sword or do you have to fight with swords?
I won a sword for.
What kind of sword did you win? I mean, that's not your everyday trophy.
Yeah, it's like a katana. It's like a really nice long sword. It's a real sharp one. So.
Did you have to get on an airplane and bring your trophy home, or was this you got to get back in the car and come on home with it?
This one was a closer tournament. This one was only in Birmingham, so we got to.
I could see you going up to TSA and being like, "I swear I won it," and trying to put it through the detector to sort of get it home. But I know there's a lot of culture and just history attached to the sport of karate and taekwondo and sort of all of that. Yes, do you get to learn about all of that as you're learning through and how I mean, we're talking about when you think about sports here in America, I mean, they're only as old as America is for the most part. We have basketball, football, and I know there's, it can get international. But when you think about sports like karate and some of the others, these are things that have been around. They're ancient in sort of in their conception. I mean, is that cool part to you at all?
Yes, ma'am. Coming up and like as I ranked up when I was, starting as a white belt, the karate school I went to, they did teach a good bit of the history of where, the sport came from. Taekwondo originated in Korea and all of that stuff. So we learned all about it.
We learned all about that, and we're learning all about Annabeth, and we've got more with her coming up next live. And I think they just need to add our guest, Annabeth, to that round table. Annabeth Hedgepeth, who is the world champion in Taekwondo, in her age group at least, for the circuit in which she competes in karate. I love that on the C Spire text line, Annabeth, we have Jeff in Oxford who says, such a polite young lady. All the yes ma'ams and no ma'ams, it's good to hear. And I'm thinking, yes, but she will kick your tail, Jeff. And so, but no, I think it's good. You can have both sides to your personality. Okay, Rhino, during the break, you set all of us up for our Ninja Turtle fans that Annabeth has, in the weapons category, she's nailed all of them, but who?
Yeah, she's got 3 of the 4 Ninja Turtles represented because she competes with the nunchucks, that would be Michelangelo. She also competes with the bow staff, that would be Donatello, and she won a katana, which is the weapon for Leonardo. But she's missing Raphael.
Which is?
He fights with size.
What is that?
It's like a handheld trident-looking thing. It's usually used for defense.
It's 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
They look like
Pitchforks.
Pitchforks. Kinda. Would be the simplest sort of terms in that. Did you grow up watching Ninja Turtles as a kid?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Before or after you got in karate?
Before. I mean, I just kind of watched it sometimes.
I think it's interesting that, the different things that you sort of like gravitate to. I would think if you hadn't seen Karate Kid before getting into karate, I guarantee that's probably something that you watched once you got further into the sport. But you had mentioned that it's kind of a small world, especially as you get on up in the competing realm of karate. And many of the people you compete with or at competitions with also translate to some of these stunt doubles that we see on television. So what is it like meeting these people who are also on the big screen, doing your craft?
It's really cool. Like, I've trained with a lot of people that are in stunts because this is where they pull it from. Sport karate, the circuit I compete on, NASCA, that's where you find your people that can do all the flips and the stunts. Like, a lot of people have watched Outer Banks on Netflix. I've trained with the main character stunt double, Cole Eckert. He's a really cool dude. I've trained with a lot of people like that.
That's pretty neat. Okay, so looking past, do you see yourself doing stunts one day for Hollywood, or is that just not really Annabeth style?
That's not really my thing. I want to keep moving up with the sport karate and the flipping and everything, but I just want to teach and continue like that.
And I admire that for sure. And I think, I don't know where you'll want to teach, but I would encourage you to stay here in Mississippi because I feel like this is a sport, particularly now where there are more of us thinking about that our little girls can be more than just ballerinas or cheerleaders. Not that there's anything wrong with either one of those, but there are these other avenues for them to still be competitive and athletic and have like real opportunity.
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
you're not college age yet, Annabeth, but are there karate teams in college? I mean, have we even gotten there in the sport where it's competitive in that realm, or is it still just an individual sport?
I do. I'm a part of a national team. We have like world level competition teams. There is no like school teams. There's my team, Team Competitive Edge. I would say that it's probably the second best team in the world, next to a team called Team Paul Mitchell. But it's like sponsors.
Is that the hair
and everything.
products?
Yes, ma'am. That's who sponsors the team.
Okay. Well, I see your ponytail flipping around there on the out there on the platform, so you might as well have good hair while you do it. So, okay, so there's still some growth. Why do you think that maybe karate hasn't grown? I know, like, soccer was big first internationally, and then it's making its way here, and it's slowly gaining interest. What do you think about the sport of karate maybe holds it back from it becoming more, more of a household name?
I mean, really, right now, it's just not as popular as softball or baseball because, I mean, it does have kind of like a stereotype where, like you said, like traditional is just move by move and it's not really actually a sport, but it takes so much more than it seems. And so money is holding us back really too. Like it's televised as much. Like the tournament I won, it is on ESPN, the U.S. Open. It's on ESPN, but we can't get as many other tournaments on ESPN as we would like because
and little kids have to see that for it to sort of translate. I remember, and it was several Summer Olympics ago, when Michael Phelps really was having his stride in the media as being the GOAT and winning all the medals and doing, he was really, he had been doing his thing for a long time, but it really came to this moment of him being crowned the king of the water. Here, once he got back, I can't remember which Olympics that was, the interest in the sport of swimming here in the United States blossomed because of him, right? You look at the gymnastics, right? And then it's the same when you see them go and kick tail and they're the Fab Five and you have like all of that. Then that, so you're right. There's a little bit of there needs to be more conversation where the kids get to see somebody they want to be like, to be able to sort of go and chase that. Because I think there's other things that come with the sport of karate other than just being cool. I mean, you're obviously fit and athletic, but
Yes,
there is
ma'am.
that mental toughness that has to come with it. What are the nerves like on the side of the mat before you go and you shift into your spirit animal? Does she have a name? Do you have a name for your alter ego?
No, ma'am. But the nerves are, I mean, it's real. And if you can't pull it together, then you won't compete at your best. Or like when you have your weapon, you can drop and be disqualified. But it's especially like going on the world stage like I did a few weeks ago, and there's thousands of people watching. It's going to be on TV. It's just a lot going through your head before you go.
And what was it like to hear that you won? And is it like a points thing where you're sitting on the side and you're watching the leaderboard? Is it that same way, or do they come out at the end and then give the trophies out?
So everyone performs, and then you step forward one at a time from your scores from the judges. And then after that, they add up the scores. Whoever has the highest score wins.
Is it a one performance and done, or are there like multiple events that then get, like an all around? Again, I'm going back to the only thing I have, and it's gymnastics.
You have your regular divisions, and you do one form and you're done. And then the winners of those divisions compete for like the grand champion title, or in that case, it was the winners compete to see who's the best in the world.
So how did you celebrate?
It was really special. I mean, that's the most coveted title you can win in sport karate. So, I mean, afterwards, I just had all my friends and my teammates, and, we just kind of hung out afterwards. It was really fun. It was a big
So
deal.
what does the world champion eat? What's your first meal post championship?
Oh my goodness, it is so hard to get me to eat on competition day because of my nerves.
Well,
After I like to eat pasta after competing.
so there you go. Well, as a also sports dietitian by my other life, you can have that before too. It would energize some of those flips, unless you're going to throw it up on the floor, and then that wouldn't be a good thing. But
Yes, ma'am.
but that we'll have a consult later on all of that. I'm thinking you need to go out for the burger and the fries and the milkshake, and you should be able to have it all as a world champion. How many is on your team that you mentioned?
It's like a very small group of us on Team Competitive Edge. There's probably 10 to 12 of us. So
Were you the only one that walked away as a world champion?
no, ma'am, I was not. So you compete as a team also, and we're a performance team, and we all won a team title together. And then my teammate Dawson Holt, he also came home with, I believe, 3 titles. And
Y'all must live not all in the same area, so are y'all all over?
all over the country. And then I had two more teammates actually. One from Nashville, Avery Presley won a title, and Dax Hallen from, I believe, like Nebraska. So
Is there a area in the country where it's just more popular than other areas, or is it all kind of dispersed
it's dispersed everywhere.
everywhere? Well, I think we're going to see Annabeth everywhere. We've got a little bit more with her left coming up here on Good. And Annabeth, if we're interested in watching anything you do in karate, you mentioned that it's now being streamed. Where are you headed next? What's your next competition?
I'm going to Atlantic City, New Jersey, and at the end of August.
So how do you prepare for that? Like, what does that, look like when we think of other sports? They're, practicing their skills, or they're, warming up with their team. Like, what are you doing between now and then to get ready for the mat?
A lot of training. I train like my performance routines every day. I work out 6 days a week with one rest day. And
So when you say workout, is that like you just going through the movements and learning skills, or are you also like adding in strength training or some kind of mobility exercise, or is it kind of like a combination?
it's a combination of everything. Strength training. I have to go to gymnastics classes. I train just my performance routines. I run my performance routines with weights so that when I take the weights away, I can, go faster and I'm stronger. So it's really just a lot of different things.
So talking about back at school, because this is an untraditional sport, and you're also in a smaller town out of Kosciusko. I mean, I'm sure your friends find this super cool. You're a world champion, but do they understand what you do, or is it still kind of like you get to live in two different worlds?
They definitely don't understand, and it's like always, why can't you go out with us? I have to train, I have to work out. It's definitely a different type of commitment that they're not used to seeing, so it takes a lot.
And is that all coming like from you? Are you okay with the sacrifices that you're making for your sport?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, it definitely is some sacrifices, but if you want to be at that level of competition, you have to do whatever it takes.
So you mentioned you won the highest title, I guess, at your age group now, or your division as world champion. I mean, what is the Olympic gold medal for you, or is there a route to the Olympics for you one day?
Karate is in the Olympics, but it's more traditional karate. I do sport karate, so currently there's no Olympics. So like the U.S. Open for me, that is my Olympics. And so that was like I won an ISKA world title, International Sport Karate Association. And now I compete, like I said, I keep talking about the NASCA circuit, the North American Sport Karate Association. They have like a series of tournaments, and whoever wins the most of those tournaments is like the NASCA world champion. So next I'm going for a NASCA world title, and right now I'm in the lead for 6 of those.
That's pretty cool. Okay, if someone's listening to Good Things, Annabeth, and they're thinking about their kid or grandkid that may be at home, and they're like, oh, I think little Johnny or little Jane would be really good at this. Like, who's a good fit for this sport, and what age should they get started?
Start them as young as you can. Really, I started when I was 6. That's a great age to start. Anywhere between 4 and 6. Start them younger because, the longer you're in it, it's a lot easier to progress faster if you start them young. So I definitely recommend it to everyone, even if it's just like it helps a lot with everything. So confidence, everything like that.
I would think concentration, balance, things of that nature. And don't be afraid that if it starts out slow, you have to learn those sort of fundamental parts to the sport before you can start to layer on some of the fun stuff. You definitely wouldn't want a 5-year-old jumping straight to nunchucks.
Oh, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Which your mom said your new nunchucks came in the mail this week. That's the strangest thing to me to hear to say. Where do you shop for nunchucks?
There's websites
And the Department of Defense isn't knocking at your door?
No, ma'am.
Do you have pink nunchucks?
Mine are red. They match my uniforms.
I think they should be sparkly and pink
they are
just
sparkly.
For a little bit. They are.
So they shine in the lights on stage and everything. So that looks really good.
Well, Annabeth, I feel like you're going to shine at anything that you do, and you do beyond the sport of karate. And so you mentioned giving back or thinking in terms of coaching. So I hope you always choose Mississippi to sort of call home, because we are pretty proud to have you here. This has been a lot of fun. Is there anywhere online we can follow?
Yes, ma'am. You can follow me on Instagram at ab.hedgepeth_05.
All righty. So follow her there, but stick with us here. You got more coming up. You got Sports Talk Mississippi from 3 to 6. Don't forget the boys are live at Trustmark Park. And then until tomorrow, we'll meet you back here at 2. Until then, I hope you all find time for the